Hi everyone, I'm Ali GREYMOND. Today I'm answering questions about OCD recovery. These are the questions that came from my Instagram. There was a post on my Instagram where I asked people if they wanted to ask a question that I would answer on YouTube, and these are the questions from there. By the way, if you're not signed up to my Instagram, please go ahead and sign up. I'll leave the link below. So the first question is, why does OCD hit so hard towards someone you love? I have ROCD and it hit me like a bus. So, okay, the way OCD works is it attaches to the things or people that you care about the most. So, for example, if you really are attached obviously to somebody you care about a lot, doesn't matter what kind of a relationship it is, right? Then it may attach to that person. If you're, say, really attached to your job, you might have OCD about your job. If you are even attached to the process of recovery, worrying about the process of recovery, that might be your primary OCD. If you're a very religious person, it will attach to your religion. It will attach to what you care about the most. The reason why it does this is because your mind wants to protect what is the most precious. And when you are reacting with fear to what is the most precious, to fears about it, it takes it to mean that what that is the most precious is also now in jeopardy and in danger, and it needs to send you a lot of thoughts in order to make sure that you're protecting yourself. It's basically trying to warn you because it has this idea that this is important. You know, that this is important and it's dangerous. And why does it have this idea? Because when you first got this thought, when the thought first came, you reacted with a lot of fear. And then again, it came back again because the mind's like, okay, if you're in fear, I'll make sure I'll send it to you again just to, warn you, so you're not forget about the situation. And it does, and then you reacted with fear again and again and again, and that's how the situation happened. So just like you got into this situation, now we're doing the opposite, right? Now the thought comes in, we're disregarding again, and undoing what's been done. But it's, of course, it's gonna, if it grabbed on to, say, okay, so say in the situation with relationship OCD, right? Say if you didn't really care about your relationship, you were never really worried about it, like the person doesn't mean a lot to you, right? In that situation, your OCD would not grab onto the relationship. It will grab onto something else. Not to say that, every person that's in a relationship that has OCD about something else doesn't care about the relationship, but they for whatever reason, that other thing seems like a much worse thing to lose, or something bad happen to something else, right? So just attaches to what's the most fragile, what's the most important to you. Next question is, I accept my thoughts, but I have the feeling of being 100% all the time, and I don't know how to overcome that in order to avoid obsessing over and over again. Any tips? So, first of all, there's no person on planet Earth that is 100% all the time. This is not an OCD thing, right? This is just the reality of situations. People worry, people get stressed, so you're never going to be 100%. Neither is anybody else, right? But having, the stress level of 0.5 out of 10 rather than 10 out of 10, that's the difference, in terms of obsessing about it. The more you pay attention to anything right now, if you have to take a look at that, anything that has to do with recovery is OCD across the board. But right now you have to look at it that anything that has to do with OCD recovery specifically and being 100% is OCD. You are worrying about worrying. So what you have to do is say, no, I'm not buying this anymore. This is still an OCD topic. It doesn't matter that the OCD topic is about OCD. It's still OCD, and in order to overcome this, I can't react. So, yeah, I'm not going to be 100%. Instead of going around the subject, just say it like that, right? Not going to be 100%, and that's fine, right? Choosing to live in uncertainty, choosing to live in imperfection. And then these thoughts little by little will start to lose power. They have a lot of power because you're fearing them a lot, you're taking them seriously, so choosing not to. So the next question is, how do I get through the headaches when strong puro thoughts or just come up? It's like my brain really wants me to do a compulsion and go over the thought, and it's gonna hurt unless I do it. Feels horrible. So I think it's hard to say just based on the question, but I think there's quite a few different um, uh, obsessions here. So what I'm getting is that there's an obsession about getting a headache and feeling the headache, and then also about different puro thoughts. So what you want to say is, yeah, bring on the headache, bring on the thoughts, bring on the headache. Yep, it's all going to be bad. I don't care anymore. I'm choosing not to react anymore. And if you feel tired, if you feel overwhelmed, you feel like just, like your brain is overworked, which it is because you're trying to, fix the situation and reprogram your brain. So of course it's going to be overworked. So if you feel like you need to take a nap, take a nap, reduce your stress load. Not to have no stress at all, because that's not good either. You need to have some stress, regular life stuff going on, right? But not overwhelming, and not giving into OCD because you're afraid to have a headache, It's like, no, whatever, doesn't matter. Facing it head on and saying, I'm choosing not to care. I've played this game long enough. I got into it for long enough. I tried to do reassurance for long enough, and now I'm done. I'm choosing not to do this anymore. This gives you a huge position of power, and you have to go with it, And then your brain will say, well, but what if something bad happens? Well, whatever. I don't care anymore. And saying that over and over again, and in the beginning you kind of have to say this every 2 minutes, it's constant, right? But doing that, that, nope, still not buying it. Another thought comes from another angle, nope, still not buying it, over and over and over again. And then also, like I said, the next question is, any tips on dealing with puro? In addition to what I just talked about, right, the continuous disregarding, the continuous saying that bring it on, I don't care. In addition to that, also not getting overly stressed, like I said, sleeping enough, making sure that you're putting your recovery as the priority, doing exposures, right, not avoiding things, not because when you start to avoid things, you kind of paint yourself into a corner, where I can't do this, I can't do that because I'm afraid that I will get triggered. Okay, I'll get triggered and I'll use that trigger as an exposure, and when the trigger comes, I will refuse to react because I am choosing to be done with it now. I'm sick of it, I'm done. Kind of taking that attitude really helps. The person says, I still sometimes question myself, is this really OCD or am I in denial? So yes, whenever you're doubting, is this really OCD? Yes, it is OCD. It will always be OCD. And then the OCD will tell you, oh, what if you're in denial? What if this is really true? What if you're disregarding and it's really dangerous? Whatever, I'm choosing not to do this anymore. It's kind of like you have to take that leap of faith. You have to take that, what feels to you like you're taking a chance. You're not really taking a chance, but it feels to you like you're taking a chance on something that is important. And you have to choose to do that because you will see that there's nothing on the other side. It's like you're fearing something scary being behind the curtain and you open the curtain and there's nothing there. It's the same exact situation, but you have to be brave enough to go forward and open that curtain and say, nothing there, not reacting. Not from a position of reassurance again, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that not fearing it, not avoiding it, not running away from it. You know what I mean? So the person was asking about getting words stuck in their head and certain thoughts stuck in their mind. So instead of being worried about it, try to actually basically say, okay, you can make them, like you meaning OCD, you can make them stuck in my mind. I can get them stuck too. I can say them all day long. I can write them down. I can say them out loud. I can face them all day long because they mean nothing and I don't care about it anymore. In terms of the person was saying that they're taking medication, it's not really working. Quite honestly, most of the time, this is what I see with clients, that they're taking medication and it's like, maybe it's having a little bit of an effect. We will never really know if there's a little bit of an effect, but it doesn't take the thoughts away. Maybe for a very small group of people it does, but I talk to people all day long. I've been doing this for years. If I had data that showed that medication all the time takes the thoughts away, I would tell you. I just don't see it. And again, this is just my observation. And I see people taking all kinds of different medications because I talk to people all around the world. Different countries, they prescribe different things to people, and I just don't see any of it working. Honestly, maybe I would say that the most I see it working is maybe 10 to 20%. And a lot of the times what I see is when people start to feel better, they're not quite recovered, but as they start to feel better, they start to think about getting off the medication, and many of them do, because they say, what, I feel like, say, I am 50% better, I know what I'm doing is working, I know I can do the other 50% as well, I'll just start to taper down right now. And they start to taper down, and they see that there's no actual difference from when they were on the highest dose to when they're not taking anything. They still have good days when they are pushing through and disregarding and doing ARP, and bad days when they give in to the thoughts. But obviously, as they're recovering, they have fewer and fewer bad days, and then they go away completely. And again, I'm not saying that the medication doesn't have a place. Specifically, I find that medication really helps when a person is just starting out in recovery and they just can't do a single exposure. They just can't. They're too scared. They can't make a step. They don't have enough strength to do the leap of faith kind of situation where they're just disregarding. They're too afraid to disregard. They're too afraid not to do compulsion. If the medication can give them that 10% relief of anxiety, sometimes that's all the person needs to push through on exposures. So I do find that it does have a place, but you can't rely on it as a source of recovery. You have to do ERP, and I swear to you, do ERP every day, every moment of every day, you will recover. That I see all the time, And if you don't know me well from, a lot of people listen to me and they kind of know what I'm all about, but if you haven't really listened to my videos, I am a very analytics type of person, so whenever I see any kind of a trend, anything happening, I talk about it. I am very interested to know different approaches to OCD recovery, those kinds of things. So I just kind of give you data as I see it, as I receive it, So if something changes, I will definitely let you know, it's, next question is, Ali, why do I feel like sometimes the thoughts are voluntary? A lot of the times people feel that way, and a lot of the times the thoughts are coming in too fast, and the person will say, I feel like I want the thoughts. That happens. I hear this all the time. It's just part of OCD. Try to look at it this way. OCD controls your feelings, all of your feelings. It can make you feel pretty much anything across the board, including feeling like you want something, So just don't take it seriously. View it as a symptom of OCD. Like, oh yeah, I really, really want it. Yeah, that's right. Look at it sarcastically. Don't give it power. Don't try to figure it out. Don't do online research. Don't ask people. Don't check. Just like, whatever. Yeah, I really want it. I'm moving on now. I've had enough of this. Just take that attitude. Next question is OCD for a lifetime? No, it's not for life if you do the work. If you don't do the work, OCD tends to get worse. Like, this is, again, being an analytics type of person, I'm just telling you the reality of the situation. It's not like a cold or a flu where it just goes away eventually. It just gets worse, because what happens is if the person doesn't work on their compulsions, whether mental or physical, those compulsions grow and grow and grow and grow, and they overtake the entire life of that person, And then when the person says, you know what, I've had enough, and they start to work on one thing and another and take that ground back, eventually they recover, right? But you do have to work on it. It's like, if you get anything from this video is, just do ERP every moment of every day. And last question is, I cannot sleep well at night because of OCD. It's about 9 years and I don't know what to do. I think too much and analyze things consciously or unconsciously. I control things through days I care about sleep. When something's happened that makes me sad, sleeping becomes harder. As soon as I wake up, I start thinking, what do you recommend that I should do? I find a lot of people feel the worst in the mornings. Generally, people kind of tend to, not everybody, but I would say majority does. I would say about maybe 80% of people feel worse in the mornings, especially early mornings. Um, but a lot of the times people will have sleeping problems, and then they start to get obsessed with sleep and worrying about falling asleep. So that's a valid thing as well. I would say if you absolutely can't sleep, they kind of have to assess the situation in the moment, right? If you wake up and you feel like, okay, I'm clearly not going back to sleep, all I'm doing here is laying and analyzing, then get up and start doing things. Until if it's late in and still the middle of the night, do something, come back when you feel sleepy, but don't just lay there and analyze. That's the worst thing you can do, because you're not thinking rational, especially if you just woke up in the middle of the night. You're not thinking rational. It just came in all at once. You don't have the correct reaction. So refocusing is probably your best bet in the situation. I don't recommend doing sleeping pills unless the situation is really bad. And again, it's like, you do need to talk to your doctor, obviously, about any kind of medication. But it's unless you really need it, that's not something I would, kind of recommend starting. But refocusing on something fairly engaging, like physically engaging, such as like cleaning something, which is, I know it's kind of weird in the middle of the night, but it really does work. Don't refocus on something passive like watching TV, because that's just not enough mental stimulation. Like, you can really watch TV and still think about your OCD thoughts. Or playing a video game, even like playing a video game on your phone is a good idea, just to allow yourself to have some kind of a little bit of refocus. And again, it's not gonna, when I say refocus, it doesn't mean that the thoughts are gonna go away. But when you're focused on something else, or when you choose to focus on something else, instead of being 100% focused on OCD, now maybe you're 50% focused on the OCD thought and 50% focused on something else. So it gives you a little bit more advantage. And hopefully from that point, you can say, no, I'm not buying into it, whatever, it doesn't matter. You have a stronger fight in you when the thoughts are not your only thought that's going on in the mind, and you're doing something else. So, but I find that if you are laying in bed and worrying, that's absolutely the worst you can do. And that's just going to drive you deeper into the situation. And if you're doing that early in the morning, so you're going to be starting your day soon, this is going to kind of go into the next day and create more problems as the day continues. So from that point of view, it's also not a good idea. So stopping it, like, as soon as you see that you're not going to go to sleep, you're just going to continue to analyze, no, I'm not doing this. I'm choosing to do something else. I'm not running away. I'm just saying that I have better things to do than worry about this. So if I can't sleep, I'm just going to do those things, having that kind of attitude. And always try to sound like that. You know how when I talk about how you should sound, I try to sound from a position of power, very kind of having an attitude, like almost like a sarcastic attitude, to like projecting that to your brain. Your brain doesn't really understand words in terms of what you're saying, but it understands how you're projecting it, and you really do need to project this way, so the brain gets that there's no reason to worry, there's no reason to fear it, and it little by little will drop the thought. It won't be in one day. A lot of the times people will say, I pushed for an entire day, why am I not recovered? Well, maybe because you've pushed the other way for a very long period of time, right? So having perspective that it is going to take a little while, and that's okay. I did good today, and tomorrow is going to be another day, and I will do the same thing. And week to week, you should see results of that. It'll be small at first, and the results usually get bigger as the person gets more comfortable doing exposures, but don't expect results day to day. I would say week to week is a good way to kind of see progress. I hope you find these answers helpful. If you'd like to ask more questions, please leave them below this post if you are on Instagram, or below any of my videos if you are on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to do the recovery program, all the information is on youhaveocd.com. Please don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next video.